Back in September 2022, my company stopped paying its employees. And I knew a lot of people would leave the company, but I didn't realize how many people would leave and just how quickly people would leave the company. But I decided that I would stay at the company and I would continue to work for the company with no pay. And I actually worked for the company for 9 months with no pay. And believe it or not, it actually led to something really, really good. Now, let me back up a little bit. During COVID, my company saw massive, massive growth, right? We secured millions and millions of dollars from the US government to develop a saliva-based COVID test, PCR test, that you could do at home, right? And the clinical study data was looking really good. The performance of the product was looking really, really good. But before you can sell anything, you need to get FDA authorization. And this was the issue. In order to get FDA authorization, you need to prove to the FDA, or you did need to prove to the FDA, that you could produce a certain number of tests every week to meet demand. This meant that we had to create a new production facility. We had to hire loads of new people and train them up. So the company actually grew from about 30 people up to 250 people very, very quickly. So we did the work, we hired those people, we trained them up, we showed to the FDA that we could produce the right number of tests per week, and then we were just waiting for the authorization. Unfortunately, the authorization took a very, very long time to come. So this was like a high risk, high reward situation, and it had stalled at exactly the wrong time. Now, eventually, the authorization did arrive, but by that point, the demand for COVID testing had absolutely plummeted. COVID was no longer the health concern that had taken over the world for the last 2 years. So we now had a product that worked really well with no market, and we had 250 employees and no way of paying them. So surprise, surprise, the company runs out of money, and September 2022 stopped paying salaries. And that, as I say, is when I decided I was not going to leave. I was going to stick with the company and try and help turn it around. And there are a few reasons that I did that. Firstly, loyalty. So this was the first company I worked for. I'd been there for 8 years, and I started off working as an entry-level researcher, and I worked my way up to Director of Product Management and Innovation. So I'd sunk a lot of time into this company. It was a lot more than just a job. It really was a big, big part of my life. And the job allowed me to live in Asia for 8 years. It allowed me to travel around the world, meet interesting people, work on exciting projects. When I found out that the salaries were no longer going to be paid, I had a look at my bank account, and I had an emergency fund that I'd been building. And I did the calculations, and I worked out that, yes, I'm willing to burn through my savings to try and help save the company. So that was reason one. Reason two was I'd invested a lot in the company. So I joined when the company only had 8 employees, and now there were 250. So a huge amount of growth. I was there the entire time pretty much, and every year I was investing a little bit of my salary into the company. And by this point I had about 1 million shares in the company, which meant that if the company ever sold, I would be set for life. I'd never have to work again. So although it was probably a naive decision looking back, I thought that if I could sacrifice the next few months, help turn the company around, and then the company gets bought, financially I would be set for the rest of my life. Like long term, it was the right decision to make. So that was reason two. And reason three is that it was just my identity, right? At this company, I was important. I knew what I was doing. I understood my role really, really well. And when I was talking with my friends, I was kind of known as the sciencey guy who couldn't really explain what he was doing because it was too complicated, right? I liked that. That made me feel good. So being at this company felt like a big part of my identity. So the idea of walking away from this company and losing that was very, very scary. So I continued working for the company, 9 months, no money. But at some point you have to face reality, and there was no way the company was going to turn around. I'd burnt through all of my savings, and eventually I just had to talk to my boss and say, I'm really sorry, but I'm out. And he wasn't that surprised, to be honest. I think he probably thought I was going to leave much earlier than I did. But that was it really. After 8 years at the company, it being a massive part of my life, I was now unemployed, no salary, no savings, and I had to start looking for a job. So I started looking for a job, like job hunting, and like many people's job hunts, it was just rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection, until one of my previous colleagues, someone I'd worked at this previous company, who actually left the day salary stopped, she reached out to me and she said that the company she's now at, they have an open position, and she thought I would be perfect for that role. So I applied, I interviewed, and I got the job. And that is the company I'm still at now. I've been there for a year and a half, over a year and a half, and I absolutely love it. It's a really cool job. And what's great is it's the next logical step on the career ladder from where I was before. So like I couldn't have asked for a better job. But here's the crazy thing when you think about it. If I hadn't worked at the company 9 months with no pay, I wouldn't have been looking for a job at the exact time that this new job opening opened up, right? If I had left day one, I probably would have already found a job, and who's to know if that job would have been better or worse, right? As soon as you start thinking about the butterfly effect or life-changing events and things, it just becomes a massive mind fuck, basically. You can't predict this stuff. So what is the lesson? I think the key message from this story is that all you can do is try and make the best decision in that moment based on the information that's provided to you. No one can tell the future. No one knows what's going to happen, right? If I had left day one, yes, I would still have all of my savings, but I don't know what job I would have got. I don't know if something else would have happened that would have pushed me down another path, right? At that moment in time, looking at the information, the fact I had an emergency fund, the fact that I'd invested in the company and I thought I could help turn it around, at that moment, staying with the company for no pay seemed like the best decision, right? And although I didn't get the outcome I was expecting, it did actually lead to something really good, which is the job I have now. If you're facing some big decisions at the moment, just remember all you can do is look at the facts, look at the information, and make the best decision based in that moment. Some of them are going to work, some of them aren't going to work. So embrace opportunities that come your way, try and be smart about your decisions. And if you do make a choice and looking back you're going, actually that was not a good choice, like things are not looking good, just remember that something good may just be around the corner. You just have to be patient. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my story. I hope that was useful. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. I will see you in the next video.